I always thought dating someone quiet and shy was a blessing. No drama, no chaos, no trust issues. That's what I thought when I met Ava. She had this calm energy about her, almost too calm. We met at a mutual friends party last summer in California. Everyone else was drunk and loud, but she was sitting on the couch reading a book. That caught my attention. We talked for a while, and within a week we were going out. She didn't talk much about her family, said her parents died when she was a kid. No siblings, grew up in foster homes, bounced around a lot. I felt bad for her. Maybe that's why I let certain things slide at first, like the way she hated mirrors. Every time she walked by one, she'd avoid her reflection. Once I caught her covering every mirror in my place with black cloths while I was at work. She said it helped her sleep better. Weird, but I let it go. Or how she'd locked the bathroom door for nearly an hour every night. I figured she was just someone who valued privacy. But everything changed the night I woke up at 3:03 a.m. At first, I didn't know why. I just remember sitting up in bed, heart pounding, feeling like something was watching me. I looked over. Ava wasn't there. The bed beside me was cold. I called out to her. No response. Then I heard something. A wet, sloshing sound from the kitchen. I got out of bed and walked down the hallway. The closer I got, the stronger this awful smell hit me, like rotting meat mixed with bleach. I peeked around the corner and saw her. Ava was crouched on the kitchen floor, barefoot, wearing a long white nightgown. Her hair hung in front of her face and she was digging into something with her bare hands. Blood was everywhere. It dripped from her wrist to the tiles. At first I thought it was an animal, but when I stepped closer, I realized it wasn't. It was a human hand, just the hand, no body. She looked up at me slowly. Her eyes were black, not dark, black. Her face was soaked with blood and something else. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. I ran. I locked myself in the bathroom and called the cops. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the phone twice. By the time the police arrived, she was gone. No sign of the hand, no blood, nothing. They checked the whole apartment and told me maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was a dream, but I know what I saw. The next day, Ava texted me like nothing happened. Asked if I wanted to go to breakfast. I didn't respond. That night I stayed at a friend's place. But even there, I didn't feel safe. Around 2:50 a.m., I heard scratching at the window. We were on the second floor. I looked out, and there she was, standing perfectly still on the balcony, her head tilted to the side. She smiled, and I swear her mouth opened wider than any human mouth should. I didn't sleep. I blocked her number, deleted her socials, reported everything to the police. I even tried therapy, thinking maybe I was losing it. But then something happened that made me realize this was real. A few days later, I got a package. No name, no return address. Inside was a Ziploc bag with a tongue and a note that said, "He talked too much." The next day, my neighbor, an old man named Carl, was found dead in his apartment. His tongue had been removed. The cops ruled it a violent robbery. But I knew. I moved states, changed my name, started over, and for a while things were quiet, until last week. I got home from work and saw something on my doorstep, a single black cloth, the kind she used to cover mirrors with. I went inside and found my bathroom mirror already covered, and on it, written in red, "You still dream about me." This time I'm not waiting for the next move. I know what she is now, and I know she's coming back. But if she does, I won't be the one running. When I first met Lily, I thought she was perfect, beautiful, quiet, artistic. There was something almost ethereal about her, like she was from another time. We met at a bookstore in Portland, Oregon, both reaching for the same worn-out horror novel. She smiled, apologized, and offered to let me have it. I told her we could share it over coffee. That turned into weekly meetups, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. But there were things about her I ignored in the beginning, things I shouldn't have. She didn't talk about her past. No childhood stories, no family photos, no social media. Every time I asked about where she grew up, she'd just say, "Far from here," and smile. I thought it was quirky, mysterious, but now I know better. We'd been dating for almost 5 months when I noticed her sleepwalking. The first time I found her standing barefoot in the kitchen at 2 a.m., facing the wall. I asked her what she was doing. She didn't respond. I touched her shoulder and she turned around slowly, eyes open, but empty. She whispered, "He's still hungry." The next morning she had no memory of it, said I must have been dreaming. But then it happened again and again. She would walk in the middle of the night, sometimes mumble in a strange language I didn't recognize. Once I found her crouched in the corner of the bathroom, whispering to her reflection. I started keeping a journal, writing everything down. Something felt wrong, off. It wasn't just the sleepwalking. Her energy changed, cold, distant. There were moments her face didn't even look like her. Her features seemed sharper, predatory. One day I found something behind the dresser, a small wooden box, carved with strange symbols. Inside were photos, old, black and white, dusty. They looked like they were from the 1930s or 40s. Every photo had the same woman in it. She looked exactly like Lily. Same eyes, same birthmark on the neck, same smile. But the dates didn't make sense. In one of the pictures, the back was labeled, New Orleans, 1941. I brought it up to her. I showed her the photo and asked if it was her grandmother or something. She went completely silent. Then she said, "You weren't supposed to see that." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. That night I pretended to be asleep. Around 3:12 a.m., I felt the bed shift. I opened one eye just enough to see her standing at the foot of the bed, holding something in her hands. It was the wooden box. She began chanting, quiet, rhythmic. Then she turned and walked out the door. I followed, barefoot and shaking, staying far enough behind. She walked out into the woods behind our apartment complex. The moon was full. The air was freezing. I watched from behind a tree as she kneeled in a clearing and placed the box on the ground. Then she pulled out something wrapped in cloth. It was a jawbone, a human jawbone. I stepped on a twig and she snapped her head toward me. Her eyes glowed, actually glowed, a dull yellow like a predator's. Her voice was different too, deep, layered, like more than one person speaking. "You shouldn't have followed me." I ran. I didn't stop. I didn't go back home that night. I drove to my friend Noah's house and stayed there. Told him everything. He said I was probably hallucinating, maybe stressed. I begged him to come back with me the next day. When we got there, Lily was sitting on the couch, smiling like nothing happened. She hugged me, said she was worried, that she had no idea what I was talking about. Noah pulled me aside later and told me he thought I needed help, But that night, he stayed anyway, just in case. At 2:41 a.m., I woke up to a noise, a thud, then dragging. I got up and found a trail of something thick and dark leading from the guest room. I followed it to the kitchen. There on the floor was Noah's body, his face pale, eyes wide open in terror. His chest had been carved open. Lily stood above him, her hands drenched in blood, that same glowing-eyed look on her face. "I told you," she said softly. He was still hungry. I ran. I didn't even grab my keys. Just ran barefoot into the street, screaming for help. The police found me 5 blocks away, rambling, covered in mud and blood. When they got to the apartment, Lily was gone. So was Noah's body. No blood, no signs of struggle, nothing. Like it never happened. They checked the security cams for the building. Nothing. No footage of anyone entering or leaving. But I know what I saw. I know what she did. And the scariest part? 3 nights ago, I got a letter in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a photo, one of the old ones I found in that box. It was me, standing beside Lily, both of us dressed like it was the 1940s. I never took that photo. Underneath, written in faded ink, "You always come back." I'm not really the type to believe in ghosts or demons or any of that stuff. I've always thought there was an explanation for everything, until last year, when my girlfriend changed. Completely. My name's Chris. I'm 24 now, and I still don't have a logical explanation for what happened. But I know one thing. I will never trust the silence in someone's eyes again. It started in October, which already sounds cliché, I know. My girlfriend Emma had just moved in with me. We'd been dating for about 8 months and everything felt great. She was warm, funny, and smart. We had the usual fights about dumb stuff, laundry, groceries, her obsession with burning sage in the apartment, but nothing major. That first week of October, things started to feel different. At first it was little things. She started talking in her sleep, not moaning or murmuring, talking, full sentences. I'd wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. and hear her whispering to someone. At first I thought it was a dream, until one night I clearly heard her say, "Don't look at him yet. He doesn't see you." I remember sitting up in bed, heart pounding. I turned the lamp on. She was lying there, eyes shut, face calm. But the room felt cold, like unnaturally cold. Our heating was on, but I could see my breath in the air. I woke her up gently and told her what she'd said. She just laughed, said she probably had a weird dream. But after that night, I started keeping track of everything. I downloaded a sleep recording app and left my phone charging by the bed every night. What I captured over the next few nights chilled me to the core. The app picked up multiple voices. I thought maybe the mic was too sensitive. Maybe it was catching sounds from the neighbors. But the voices weren't just random. They were interacting with her. One night she said, "Emma, stop that." Unknown male voice. "He'll leave you like the others." Emma. "No, he's different." Unknown voice. "Then prove it." I played it for her in the morning. She went pale, completely silent. She stared at the floor and wouldn't say a word. I asked her if it was a prank, maybe some kind of elaborate joke. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "They found me again." That sentence hit me like a truck. She told me she had something to confess, that when she was 15, she lived in a house her mother swore was haunted. Doors opening, objects flying off shelves, and constant whispering late at night. Her mom brought in a medium who claimed Emma had a thin veil between her and the other side, whatever that meant. Emma said she thought she'd grown out of it, moved past it, until now. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But part of me still thought it was a psychological thing. Maybe she needed help, therapy, anything. But deep down, something didn't sit right, especially because it kept getting worse. About 2 weeks later, I came home late from work. I walked into the apartment and immediately noticed something off. The lights were all off except for the hallway lamp, which flickered like a dying candle. I called out to Emma. No response. I walked toward the bedroom. The door was slightly open, and I heard something. Scratching. Not like nails on a wall. It sounded like something scratching from inside the closet. I opened the bedroom door slowly. Emma was sitting on the floor, facing the closet, her back to me. Just sitting there, completely still. Her head tilted slightly to the side. I asked her what she was doing. She didn't move. I walked around to face her. Her eyes were wide open, but they weren't normal. They were completely black, I swear to God. Not just her pupils, her whole eyes. I backed away, thinking it was a trick of the light. I flipped on the main light switch. Her eyes went back to normal, but she blinked slowly and said, "He wants to meet you." I remember stumbling back and running out of the room. I actually slept in my car that night. The next morning she acted totally normal, made pancakes, talked about going to the farmer's market. When I brought up the night before, she looked confused, genuinely confused. She said she didn't remember anything. I wanted to believe her, but my gut was screaming that something was wrong, really wrong. That weekend, I convinced her to go with me to stay at my brother's house in upstate New York. I thought maybe getting out of the apartment would help. A reset. My brother's house was surrounded by woods, calm and quiet. I thought maybe the thing, whatever it was, would stay behind. The first night at his place was peaceful. The second night, I woke up to Emma standing by the window, staring out into the woods. I walked up to her and asked what she was looking at. She said, "He followed us." I looked out the window and saw nothing, but I felt it, like the air itself was heavier. I took her hand and tried to lead her back to bed. That's when she suddenly screamed, like blood-curdling, raw terror, and collapsed. Her body shook violently like a seizure. We called 911. At the hospital, they couldn't find anything wrong. No medical explanation. They suggested it might have been a panic attack or stress-induced episode. But I knew better. Because that night, back at my brother's house, I listened to the sleep recording again. There were 3 distinct voices. Emma, mine, and one I'd never heard before. A deep, gravelly voice that said, "She's mine now. You can't protect her." After that, I knew I couldn't live like this. I told Emma I loved her, but I needed time. I moved out a week later. We stayed in touch for a while, but the messages started getting strange. She'd send texts like, "He misses you. We dream about you at night. Come back before it's too late." I blocked her number, changed apartments, tried to rebuild my life. But sometimes when I'm half asleep, I still hear her voice, whispering from the corner of my room. And just a few nights ago, I found a note slipped under my door. No name, no handwriting, just 4 words. "He knows you're alone." If you ever meet someone whose eyes suddenly change, not with emotion, but with something unnatural, run.